The entire galaxy watched as Grandmother Nala transformed before their eyes. The frail, confused old woman they had seen in security footage was revealed as something ancient and powerful, a being that existed beyond normal understanding. Light radiated from her form, and her voice carried across every communication channel impossible to block or silence. "I am Nala, one of the Wandering Ones," she said. "For eons beyond counting, my kind have walked among you, observing, testing, seeking those worthy of our gifts. We appear as the helpless and the lost, as those in need. We watch to see who stops to help when there is no reward, no recognition, no benefit. We test the hearts of civilizations." On New Sol Station, the frozen mercenaries could only watch helplessly as their mission crumbled around them. The crowd, released from the time freeze, stood in stunned silence. Nala gestured, and images appeared in the air around her. Scenes from across the galaxy, across time. "Behold the history of the Chosen," she said. The images showed individuals from dozens of species, a Calaxian warrior who had laid down his weapons to carry wounded enemies to safety, a Valanian scientist who had spent her fortune to cure a plague affecting a species considered beneath her, a Thoric priest who had sacrificed his position to speak truth to corrupt power. "Each species has produced those worthy of elevation," Nala continued. "But in recent years, one species has shown this virtue more than any other. One species stops to help when others walk past. One species extends kindness to strangers even at personal cost." The images shifted to show humans. A medic running into fire to save alien soldiers. A teacher spending her life educating orphans from a dozen worlds. A pilot destroying her own ship to prevent a collision that would kill thousands. And finally, the image showed Jiho helping an old Valanian woman find her ship, spending hours of his time and sacrificing his wages to help a stranger who seemed to have nothing to offer in return. "This man is Jiho of Earth," Nala said, her voice filled with warmth. "A simple cargo handler who saw an old woman in need and chose kindness. He asked for nothing. He expected nothing. He helped because it was right, because his grandmother taught him that how we treat the weak and the elderly shows who we truly are." The image shifted to show Jiho's recent actions. Healing co-workers, saving Take from falling, protecting civilians during the attack, and finally sacrificing his own life force to save his friend Doyen. "I gave this man a gift," Nala said, "not because he was strong or clever or important. I gave it to him because he was kind, and he has used that gift exactly as I hoped he would, to heal, to protect, to give of himself so that others might live." The crowd on the station began to murmur. Some looked at Jiho with awe, others with fear, but all of them listened as Nala continued. "Humanity is young by galactic standards," she said. "They have been among you for only 50 years. Yet in that time, more humans have been chosen by the Wandering Ones than any other species has produced in millennia. Do you know why?" She paused, letting the question hang in the air. "It is because humans understand something that many of you have forgotten. They know that true strength lies not in dominance but in compassion, not in taking but in giving. They help those who cannot help them in return. They extend kindness to those who are different, who are strange, who are other, and they do this not because it benefits them, but because it is right." Ambassador Vorith's face appeared on a split screen, his expression twisted with rage and fear. "This is manipulation. The human corrupts our youth with false virtues. He must be—" Nala turned her gaze toward him and Vorith's words died in his throat. "You fear change," she said softly. "You fear that humanity will rise and diminish your power. So you sent killers to murder a man whose only crime was kindness. You would destroy what you do not understand rather than learn from it." She waved her hand, and the mercenaries appeared on screen, their faces visible to all. "These are the tools of your fear. Professional killers sent to eliminate a healer. Warriors sent to destroy a man who only wants to help others." The galactic audience watched in silence as the truth of the attack became undeniable. "I offer Jiho a choice now," Nala said, turning back to where he lay in Doyen's arms. "I can remove the gift I gave you, return you to your ordinary life, erase these memories, let you live in peace. No one will hunt you. No one will fear you. You can go back to being just a cargo handler on a distant station." She knelt beside him again, her ancient eyes kind. "Or you can keep the gift, knowing that it will make you a symbol, a target, a reminder to the galaxy of what humanity represents. You will be hunted by those who fear change. You will be burdened by the suffering you feel around you. You will never know a normal life again." Jiho's breathing was shallow, but he managed to speak. What What happens to the others? The other chosen humans? They will face the same choice. Each must decide for themselves. And, if I choose to keep it, what am I supposed to do? Nala smiled. Show them. Show the galaxy what it means to be human. Not through words or declarations, but through actions. Heal where there is pain. Protect where there is danger. Give where there is need. Be the example that others can follow. Jiho thought about his grandmother who had raised him with love and sacrifice. He thought about Doyen, his loyal friend. He thought about all the people on the station who had stood with him against the mercenaries, risking their lives for his. He thought about the suffering he could feel all around him, the pain and fear and sadness of billions of beings across the galaxy. How could he turn away from that? How could he choose peace when he had the power to help? I'll keep it, he whispered. Are you certain? The path ahead will be difficult. I'm certain. Jiho tried to sit up and Nala helped him. You said the gift isn't just power, it's potential. Potential to show them what humanity means. Well, I want to show them. Not because I think humans are better than anyone else, but because kindness shouldn't be rare. Compassion shouldn't be unusual. If I can remind people of that, if I can inspire even one person to help someone in need, then it's worth it. Nala's smile widened. You have chosen well, child of Earth. She stood and addressed the galaxy once more. Hear this, all who are watching. Humanity is not perfect. They have flaws and failures like all species. But they possess something precious, something worth preserving and celebrating. They have hope. They have empathy. They have the courage to be kind even when the galaxy tells them to be hard. She gestured to Jiho. This man will walk among you now, using the gifts I have given him to heal and help. Others like him will emerge, each chosen for their compassion. They are not your enemies. They are not a threat. They are a reminder of what all of you can be, if you choose kindness over cruelty. Nala began to fade, her form becoming transparent. I return to my wandering now, but I will be watching, and so will my kin. Remember this day. Remember the choice Jiho made. Remember that power used in service of others is the highest form of strength. She looked at Jiho one final time. Walk well, child of Earth, show them what you are. And then she was gone. Time resumed its normal flow. The mercenaries, released from their bonds, immediately tried to flee but were captured by station security. Vorth's image vanished from the screens, his political career likely over. The crowd on the station erupted into chaos. Some cheered. Some argued. Some stood in shocked silence. And Jiho, surrounded by his friends, felt Nala's gift flowing through him again. The life force he had sacrificed to save Doyen was restored, stronger than before. His abilities felt clearer, more controlled. He understood now what he was meant to do. Doyen helped him to his feet. So you're famous now. The galaxy knows about you. What are you going to do? Jiho looked around at the station, at the people of dozens of species watching him with a mixture of hope and fear. He felt their emotions, their pain, their dreams. I'm going to do what Grandmother Nala said. I'm going to help people. All people. Human, alien, doesn't matter. Anyone who needs help. Hana stepped forward, official and formal despite the chaos around them. The Galactic Council will want to speak with you. They'll have questions, demands, maybe even threats. Let them ask. I'm not hiding anymore. Teho, the Valanian merchant, laughed. Good. The galaxy needs more people like you, young human. Maybe you'll inspire some of the rest of us to remember what kindness looks like. Yuna, the Andorian engineer, nodded. We'll help however we can. You stood up for us. We'll stand with you. More voices joined in. The people Jiho had helped over the months, the aliens who had witnessed his compassion, the humans who were proud to see one of their own chosen by a demigoddess. They gathered around him, offering support, offering friendship. And across the galaxy, in homes and stations and ships, beings of every species discussed what they had witnessed. Some dismissed it as propaganda. Some feared what it meant for the balance of power. But many, especially the young and the hopeful, saw something different. They saw proof that kindness mattered, that helping others was not weakness but strength, that a simple cargo handler could become something extraordinary, not through violence or cunning but through compassion. In the days that followed, other enhanced humans came forward. Minho, the former soldier who could manipulate energy. Suji, the scientist who could communicate with any being. The attack came during the Festival of First Contact, the annual celebration marking the day humanity joined the Galactic Council. New Seoul Station was crowded with thousands of beings, human and alien alike, gathered in the main promenade to watch performances and share in the festivities. Jiho had tried to stay away. Hana had warned him that large crowds made him vulnerable, that Vorith's people might be looking for an opportunity. But Doyun had convinced him to come, arguing that hiding wouldn't solve anything. "You can't live your whole life in fear," Doyun had said. "Besides, you told me you wanted to show them what humanity means. Can't do that hiding in your apartment." So Jiho went. He stood in the crowd, watching human children play with alien children, seeing the joy and unity that the festival represented. For a moment he felt hopeful. Maybe things would be okay. Maybe Vorith would leave him alone. Then his enhanced senses screamed a warning. He felt them before he saw them. 6 sources of life energy that burned with cold purpose, moving through the crowd with predatory intent. Professional killers, enhanced with technology and training, their entire focus locked on one target. Him. "Doyun, get down!" Jiho shouted, tackling his friend to the ground just as energy weapons lit up the promenade. The first blast took out a decorative pillar where Jiho had been standing. The second hit a food stall, sending people screaming in all directions. Panic erupted as the festival transformed into a massacre. Jiho's mind raced. He could feel the attackers, sense their positions, but there were 6 of them and they were spreading out to surround him. Worse, they had some kind of technological dampening field that made his abilities harder to use. Every time he tried to reach out with his healing or enhancement powers, the field disrupted them. They had come prepared to fight someone like him. A mother was trying to shield her child from the crossfire. Without thinking, Jiho ran toward them, his enhanced speed letting him cross the distance in seconds. He grabbed them both and pulled them behind cover just as another energy blast scorched the floor where they had been standing. "Run," he told the mother. "Get to the emergency exits." But there were too many people trapped, too much chaos. Jiho could feel their terror like sharp needles in his mind. He had to protect them, had to stop the attackers before more innocent people died. One of the mercenaries appeared from behind a merchant stall, weapon raised. Jiho moved on instinct faster than the mercenary expected and struck the weapon from his hand. But the mercenary was enhanced too, probably with expensive military technology. He recovered quickly and pulled a blade that crackled with energy. They fought. Jiho had never been trained to fight, but his enhanced reflexes and strength made up for it. He could feel what the mercenary was going to do before he did it, sense the flow of his life energy and anticipate his movements. But the dampening field made everything harder, slower. A blast of energy caught Jiho in the shoulder. Pain exploded through his body as the weapon burned through his clothes and into his flesh. But even as he fell, his enhanced healing was already working, sealing the wound, dulling the pain. "Stay down," someone shouted. It was Hana, running toward him with a weapon of her own. She fired at the mercenaries, giving Jiho a moment to recover. "What are you doing here?" Jiho gasped. "Saving your life. I tracked the mercenaries to the station. I was trying to warn you." She helped him to his feet. "They're using anti-psychic tech. Your abilities won't work at full strength while they have those dampeners active." More people were gathering to help. Taiho, a Valanian merchant who had become Jiho's friend over the months, emerged from his stall with an old plasma rifle. "No one attacks my station and gets away with it." Yuna, a young Andorian engineer who worked in the reactor sectors, appeared with a group of dock workers. "We're with you, Jiho." Even some of the aliens in the crowd joined in, people Jiho had helped over the months. The old Calaxian woman whose grandchild he had healed. The human dock supervisor whose depression he had sensed and helped to ease. They formed a protective circle around him, civilians willing to stand against professional killers. Jiho felt his eyes burn with emotion. These people, human and alien alike, were risking their lives for him. The mercenaries regrouped, their leader speaking into a communicator. More were coming. This was just the first wave. "We need to get you out of here," Hana said. "There's a service corridor 2 sections over. I can get you to a secure location." "No." Jiho stood up straight despite the pain. "If I run, they'll follow. More people will get hurt. This ends here. Jiho, you can't fight them all. I don't have to fight them. I just have to protect everyone long enough for station security to arrive. He closed his eyes and focused, pushing against the dampening field. It was like pushing through thick mud, but he forced his awareness to expand. He felt everyone in the promenade, hundreds of life energies, each one precious. And he did something he had never tried before. Instead of healing individuals one at a time, he spread his gift as wide as he could, creating a protective field around the civilians. It wouldn't stop weapons, but it would enhance their natural resilience, help them survive injuries that would otherwise be fatal. The strain was enormous. Jiho felt his energy draining, his life force spreading thin, but he held it, refusing to let go. The mercenaries attacked again, but now they faced organized resistance. Hana coordinated the defenders while Jiho focused on protection. When someone was injured, Jiho poured healing into them. When someone was afraid, he sent them strength. He became a beacon of hope in the chaos, proof that they could survive this. Then Doyen went down. A mercenary's blast caught him in the chest, burning through his protective vest and into his body. Jiho felt it happen, felt his friend's life energy flickering, dying. No. Jiho abandoned his protective field and ran to Doyun. His friend lay on the ground, blood spreading across his shirt, his breathing shallow and labored. Jiho, Doyun whispered. Run! Save yourself! Shut up. You're going to be fine. But Jiho could feel how bad it was. The blast had destroyed vital organs. Even with advanced medical care, Doyen wouldn't survive. He had minutes at most, unless Jiho used his gift, but using it would require everything he had. He would have to pour his entire life force into Doyen, channel every bit of healing power he possessed. It would leave him completely vulnerable, defenseless against the mercenaries who were even now closing in for the kill. Jiho didn't hesitate. He placed his hands on Doyun's chest and opened himself completely. Energy poured out of him like water from a breaking dam. He felt Doyun's damaged organs healing, the burns sealing, the broken tissues knitting back together. He poured everything into his friend, holding nothing back. The world started to fade around him. Jiho's vision blurred, his enhanced senses dimmed. He felt his own life force draining away, flowing into Doyen to save him. Worth it, Jiho thought. Doyen was his friend, his brother, in all but blood. If saving him cost Jiho his life, then that was a price he would gladly pay. Doyen gasped and sat up, completely healed. Jiho, what did you... He saw Jiho collapsing and caught him. No, don't you dare die on me. But Jiho couldn't respond. He had nothing left. He lay in Doyen's arms, barely breathing, as the mercenaries raised their weapons for the final shot. This is it, Jiho thought distantly. At least I saved him. At least I did the right thing. The mercenaries fired, and the world stopped. Everything froze. The energy blasts hung in the air, motionless. The people stopped mid-motion. Even the sound cut off, leaving only silence. Through his fading vision, Jiho saw someone walking through the frozen scene. An old Valanian woman, but this time she wasn't disguised. She glowed with soft light, her form somehow both solid and ethereal. She looked exactly as she had that night at the docks, but also completely different. Grandmother Nala knelt beside him, and her smile was sad and proud at the same time. Hello again, child of Earth, she said softly. You have done well, better than I hoped. You chose love over life, kindness over survival. You proved that humanity's greatest strength is not power, but the willingness to sacrifice for others. Jiho tried to speak but couldn't. Rest now, Nala said. Your test is not yet finished, but you have earned this much. I will show them what you are, what humanity can be. She touched his forehead, just as she had that first night. Warmth flowed into him, not healing, but sustaining, keeping him alive, if barely. Then she stood and looked at the frozen tableau around them, the mercenaries with their weapons raised, the people trying to help, the chaos and violence. Nala raised her hand and reality trembled. No more, she said, her voice carrying power that shook the foundations of the station. This child is under my protection. All who would harm him must first answer to me. The mercenaries unfroze but found themselves unable to move, trapped in invisible bonds. Their weapons clattered to the ground, and across every screen on the station, across every communication channel in the entire sector, Nala's image appeared. People of the galaxy, she said. I am one of the wandering ones, and I have something to tell you about humanity, and about the man you just tried to kill. Jiho, barely conscious in Doyen's arms, could only watch as everything changed forever. 6 months after his transformation, Jiho learned that having power didn't make life easier, it made it harder. Every day at the docks was an assault on his heightened senses. He felt every injury, every ache, every moment of suffering from the hundreds of workers around him. The old man with arthritis in his hands, the young woman hiding a serious illness from her employers, the Galaxian supervisor whose grief over a lost child made his life energy feel like broken glass. At first, Jiho tried to ignore it. He tried to live normally, to just do his job and go home. But how could he? How could he feel someone's pain and not help when he had the power to do something about it? So he started small, a touch on the shoulder here, sending healing energy into a coworker's injured back. A moment of contact there, easing someone's chronic headache. He was careful, subtle. He didn't want anyone to notice, but people did notice. Workers started talking about miracle recoveries. The old man's arthritis disappeared after Jiho helped him carry a heavy container. The young woman's illness vanished after they shared lunch one day. Word spread quietly through the docks that Jiho had some kind of healing touch, some blessing from the ancestors or a lucky charm. Jiho tried to deny it, but it was hard to lie when his enhanced senses could feel people's desperate hope, and it was even harder to walk away when he could help. The real trouble started when he saved a life. A maintenance worker named Tyke was doing repairs on one of the high platforms when his safety harness failed. Jiho was 60 feet away when he felt the terror spike in Tyke's life energy. Without thinking, he ran faster than any human should be able to run and caught Tyke mid-fall, his enhanced strength letting him absorb the impact without breaking either of them. The entire dock saw it happen. There was no way to hide or deny what he had done. 3 days later, a woman in a formal suit came to the docks asking for him. Jiho, I'm Hana Park. I work for the Galactic Council's Extraordinary Phenomena Division. She showed him an official badge that marked her as a senior investigator. I need to ask you some questions. Jiho's heart sank. He had known this was coming, but he had hoped for more time. Am I in trouble? That depends on your answers. Let's talk somewhere private. They went to a small meeting room near the dock offices. Hana pulled out a data tablet and showed him a series of reports. Miracle healings, impossible rescues, strange energy readings near Jiho's apartment, security footage of him moving with inhuman speed and strength. You're not the first enhanced individual I've investigated, Hana said calmly. Usually it's illegal technology or black market genetic modifications. But you're different. The energy signatures around you don't match any known tech. So I'll ask you directly, what are you? Jiho hesitated. Could he trust her? His enhanced senses told him she wasn't hostile, just curious and concerned. There was no deception in her life energy, only a genuine desire to understand. So he told her everything. The old Valanian woman, the touch, the transformation. The message from Nalahana listened without interrupting. When he finished, she was quiet for a long moment. A wandering one, she said finally. I've heard the legends, but I never thought they were real. You believe me? The evidence supports it. She pulled up more files on her tablet. And you're not alone, Jiho. You're not the first human to be chosen by one of these beings. I've been tracking similar cases for years. She showed him reports from across human space. A doctor in New Beijing who could cure diseases with a touch. A rescue worker on Mars who could sense danger before it happened. A teacher on Europa whose students learned at impossible speeds when she was teaching them. All of them, Hana explained, reported encounters with mysterious old aliens who seemed helpless or in need. All of them helped without expecting anything in return, and all of them were transformed. How many? Jiho asked. 17 confirmed cases in the last 20 years. And those are just the ones I know about. Hana leaned forward. Jiho, humans are being chosen by these wandering ones more than any other species in the galaxy. The Galaxians ruled for 10,000 years and produced maybe 5 chosen ones in all that time. The Valanians who live for centuries have maybe a dozen in their entire recorded history. But humans? We've been in the galactic community for only 50 years and we already have 17. Why? Why us? I think it's because of what you did, what all of the chosen ones did. Hana pulled up profiles of the other enhanced humans. Every single one helped someone when it cost them something. When it was inconvenient or dangerous or made their lives harder. The wandering ones seemed to be testing for genuine kindness, and humans keep passing that test. Jiho felt a weight settle on his shoulders. What happens now? Are you going to arrest me? No. Hana closed her tablet. I'm going to warn you. Because there are powerful people in the Galactic Council who are terrified of what you represent. She explained the political situation. The old species, the ones who had dominated the galaxy for millennia, were watching humanity's rapid rise with fear and suspicion. Humans were too young, too unpredictable, too different, and now they were being elevated by ancient beings of cosmic power. There's a faction called the Dominion Accord, Hana said, led by a Calaxian ambassador named Vorith. They believe humanity needs to be controlled, limited. If they find out about you, about what you can do, they'll see you as proof that humans are dangerous. They might try to kill you, because I helped an old woman find her ship, because you represent change, because you prove that humans have something special, something that even the oldest species don't have. Hana stood up. I'm not going to report you, Jiho, but you need to be careful. Don't draw too much attention. Don't use your abilities too openly. How can I not use them? Jiho asked. I feel everyone's pain. I can help them. How am I supposed to just ignore that? Hana's expression softened. I know. That's the burden, isn't it? You have the power to help, and the awareness that makes you feel like you have to. But Jiho, if you're not careful, you won't live long enough to help anyone. After she left, Jiho sat alone in the meeting room for a long time. He thought about the other chosen ones scattered across human space. He thought about the fact that humans were being tested and chosen, more than any other species. He thought about what that meant. His data tablet chimed. A message from Doyun. Old man Guan collapsed at work. Medics say heart attack. He's not going to make it, Jiho closed his eyes. Guan was a dock worker who had been kind to him when he first started working on the station. An older human who told jokes and shared his lunch and treated everyone with respect. He felt Guan's life energy from across the station. It was fading, flickering like a candle in the wind. Hana had told him to be careful, to hide his abilities, but how could he let a good man die when he had the power to save him? Jiho ran. He found Guan on the floor of the dock office, surrounded by medics and worried co-workers. The medics were trying to restart his heart, but Jiho could feel that it was too late. Conventional medicine couldn't save him now. Move, Jiho said, pushing through the crowd. Sir, you can't. Jiho ignored them. He placed his hands on Guan's chest and let his gift flow outward. He felt the damaged heart, saw the blockage in the artery, sensed where the cells were dying. He poured healing energy into Guan's body, fixing the damage, restarting the heart, bringing him back from the edge of death. Guan gasped and opened his eyes. The medics stared in shock. The co-workers whispered among themselves, and Jiho knew that he had just made everything Hana warned him about come true. He couldn't hide anymore. Too many people had seen what he could do. That night, Doyun came to his apartment looking worried. It's all over the station news. They're calling you the miracle worker. There's footage of you healing Guan. It's gone viral across the galactic net. Jiho sank onto his small couch. I couldn't let him die. I know. I would have done the same thing. Doyun sat next to him. But Hana was right. People are going to come looking for you now. Not all of them friendly. Let them come. Jiho felt something hardening inside him. I'm tired of hiding. Nala gave me this gift for a reason. The message said to show them what humanity means. Well, maybe that's what I need to do. Show them that humans don't walk away from suffering. That we help, even when it's dangerous or costs us everything. That's a really good way to get killed. Maybe, but it's the right thing to do. Doyun shook his head but smiled. You know what? You're probably going to change the galaxy or die trying, and I'm going to be right there with you when it happens. You don't have to. Shut up. You're my friend. Where you go, I go. Jiho felt gratitude wash over him. At least he wouldn't face whatever was coming alone. 3 days later, Ambassador Vorith of the Calaxian Dominion Accord made a formal request to the Galactic Council. He wanted Jiho brought before them to explain his abilities. He used words like public safety and uncontrolled enhancement and potential threat, but Jiho could read between the lines. Vorith didn't want to understand him. Vorith wanted to destroy him. The game had changed. Jiho was no longer just a cargo handler with a gift. He was now a symbol, a threat to the old order, a sign that humanity was rising faster than the ancient species were comfortable with. And somewhere in the galaxy, Jiho suspected Grandmother Nala was watching, waiting to see what he would do next. 2 weeks passed before Jiho noticed that something was wrong, or rather something was different. Very different. It started small. He woke up one morning and realized his old knee injury, the one he had gotten falling off a loading platform 3 years ago, no longer hurt. The pain had been with him so long that he had learned to ignore it, but now it was simply gone. He bent his leg experimentally, expecting the familiar ache. Nothing. Then he noticed his reflection in the mirror. The small scar above his eyebrow, the one he had gotten as a child, had faded to almost nothing. The dark circles under his eyes from years of working 2 jobs were gone. His skin looked healthier, younger somehow. Weird, he muttered. But he didn't have time to think about it. He was already late for work. At the cargo docks, things got stranger. Jiho found himself moving faster than usual, his reflexes sharper. When a container swung loose from its magnetic clamp, his hand shot out and caught the support cable before his brain even registered what was happening. The container, which weighed nearly 300 pounds, hung from his grip as if it weighed nothing. His co-worker Doyun stared at him with wide eyes. "How did you?" "Jiho, that should have taken your arm off." Jiho stared at his hand, confused. "I don't know. I just reacted." But the strangest thing was what he started to feel around other people. It was like gaining a new sense he never knew existed. When he stood near someone, he could feel something radiating from them. Emotions, maybe? Life energy? He didn't have words for it. Doyun felt like warm sunlight, bright and friendly. The station manager felt like cold metal, harsh and sharp. The Valanian merchant at the dock entrance felt ancient and deep, like an ocean. It was overwhelming. By the end of his shift, Jiho had a pounding headache from all the sensations flooding his mind. "You okay?" Doyun asked as they left the docks. "You've been acting strange all day." "I'm fine," Jiho lied. "Just tired." But the next day was worse. The sensations grew stronger. He could feel people's pain now, their suffering. An older human worker had a bad back, and Jiho could sense it like a dark spot in the man's life energy. A young Calaxian woman was grieving someone, and her sadness pressed against Jiho's mind like a weight. The mandatory medical scan that all dock workers needed quarterly finally explained some of it. The doctor, a stern human woman named Dr. Kang, called him into her office with a concerned expression. "Jiho, your test results are unusual. Very unusual." "What do you mean?" She pulled up his scans on the display screen. "Your cellular regeneration rate has increased by 300%. Your neural pathways are showing activity patterns we've never seen in an unenhanced human. Your DNA appears to be rewriting itself at a molecular level." She paused. "Have you been exposed to any unknown substances? Alien technology? Experimental treatments?" Jiho thought about it. The only unusual thing that had happened was helping that old Valanian woman. And the touch on his forehead. But that had just been a blessing, hadn't it? "No, nothing like that," he said slowly. Dr. Kang looked worried. "I'm going to need to run more tests. This level of change shouldn't be possible without some kind of intervention." "And Jiho," she hesitated, "you're not aging. According to your cellular markers, you should be aging normally, but you're not. If anything, some of your tissues are getting younger." Jiho felt his stomach drop. "What does that mean?" "I don't know. I've never seen anything like this." That night, Jiho told Doyun everything. They sat in Jiho's cramped apartment, and he explained about the old woman, the warmth he had felt, the changes happening to his body. Doyun listened carefully, then started searching through the galactic database on his data tablet. "Okay, so an old alien woman touched you and now you have superpowers. That's not normal even by station standards. Thanks for stating the obvious. Wait, look at this." Doyun turned the tablet around. On the screen was an article about galactic legends. It talks about beings called the Wandering Ones. They're supposed to be like demigoddesses or something. Ancient beings who walk among regular people in disguise. They test different species to see if they're worthy. Worthy of what? Doesn't say. But look at this part. Those who pass the test are granted gifts beyond mortal understanding, their very essence transformed by divine touch. Sound familiar? Jiho felt cold. You think that old woman was one of these wandering ones? Makes more sense than spontaneous superpowers. Doyen kept reading. It says they appear as helpless or needy, testing the compassion and kindness of those they meet. Most people fail by walking past without helping. Jiho remembered the dozens of people who had ignored Nala, who had stepped around her without a second glance. He had been the only one to stop. There's more. Doyun continued. Multiple alien cultures have stories about the wandering ones, but they all say the same thing. The gifts they give aren't random. They're based on what the person needs to fulfill some greater purpose. What purpose? I'm just a cargo handler. Maybe not anymore. Over the next few days, Jiho tried to access the station's security footage from the night he helped Nala, but every recording from that time period showed nothing but static. The dock where her ship had been parked had no record of any vessel landing or leaving. According to the official logs, Jiho had spent those hours walking around empty corridors alone. It was as if Grandmother Nala had never existed. Then the message came. Jiho was eating a quick meal in his apartment when his data tablet chimed. The message had no sender information, no routing data. It simply appeared on his screen as if by magic. The gift is not power, but potential. Use it to show them what humanity truly means. N. Jiho stared at the message for a long time. N. Nala Doyen came over that evening and found Jiho sitting in the dark, still staring at the message. It's real, isn't it? Jiho said quietly. I've been changed. By a demigoddess. Because I helped an old woman find her ship. Looks like it. But why me? I'm nobody special. I just did what anyone should do. Maybe that's exactly why, Doyun said. You did what anyone should do, but nobody else did. You were kind when kindness cost you something. Maybe that's what they're looking for. Jiho pulled up his medical scans again, looking at the proof that he was becoming something more than human. The enhanced healing. The increased strength and speed. The ability to sense life energy. And according to Dr. Kang's latest tests, he would likely live for centuries, maybe forever. What am I supposed to do with this? He whispered. Figure out what the gift is for, Doyen suggested. That message said to show them what humanity means. Show who? Show them what? Jiho closed his eyes and let his new sense expand outward. He could feel the life energy of everyone in the apartment building around him. Thousands of beings, human and alien alike, each one a tiny light in his awareness. He felt their joys and sorrows, their pains and hopes. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time. I can feel them, he said. Everyone around me. Their suffering, their happiness. It's like I'm connected to all of them somehow. Can you help them? I don't know, maybe. Jiho opened his eyes. There's a man 3 floors down. His heart is failing. I can feel it like a dark spot in his chest. And there's a child 2 buildings over who's terrified of something. And he stopped, overwhelmed by it all. Doyen put a hand on his shoulder. One at a time, my friend. You don't have to save everyone at once. But maybe you can start with one person. See what happens. Jiho thought about that. The gift Nala had given him wasn't just about making him stronger or letting him live longer. It was about connection. About feeling the pain of others and having the power to do something about it. You're right, he said finally. I should start somewhere. What are you going to do? I think... Jiho stood up, his decision made. I think I'm going to go help that man with the failing heart. Then we'll see what happens next. Doyen grinned. That's the Jiho I know. Always helping people, even when it's not your problem. It is my problem now, Jiho said softly. I think that's the point of the gift. To make other people's suffering my problem. To give me the power to help and the awareness that makes me want to. He looked at his hands. These ordinary hands that could now do extraordinary things. Grandmother Nala had chosen him, changed him, and given him a purpose. He didn't fully understand it yet, but he was starting to. The gift wasn't just power. It was responsibility. And Jiho, who had spent his whole life helping others in small ways, now had the ability to help in ways he had never imagined. The question was, what would the galaxy think of a human with the gifts of a demigoddess? And would they let him use those gifts in peace? He had a feeling he was about to find out. Jiho wiped the sweat from his forehead and looked at the time display on his wrist device. His shift had ended 20 minutes ago. and he was already late for his second job across the station. The cargo docks of New Seoul Station never truly slept, but the evening shift was finally over for him. Around him, workers from a dozen different alien species packed up their equipment and headed toward the transport tubes that would take them to the residential sectors. He was halfway to the exit when he saw her. The old woman sat on the ground near the waste processing sector, her thin arms wrapped around a broken hover cart that had tipped over, spilling its contents across the dirty floor. She looked Valanian, one of those long-lived species that became incredibly frail in their final centuries. Her skin had the pale blue tint common to her people, and her white hair hung in tangled strands around her wrinkled face. People walked past her without stopping. A group of Calaxian merchants in their expensive robes stepped carefully around her scattered belongings without offering help. 2 human dock workers glanced her way but kept moving, probably running late just like Jiho. Even the station's security drone that floated by simply scanned her and moved on, determining she wasn't a threat worth investigating. Jiho felt something twist in his chest. His grandmother had raised him after his parents died in a transport accident. She had been everything to him until she passed 5 years ago. The old woman on the floor reminded him of her, especially the confused look in her eyes as she tried to gather her scattered possessions with shaking hands. He walked over and knelt down beside her. "Grandmother, are you hurt?" "Let me help you." The old woman looked up at him with cloudy eyes. For a moment she seemed surprised that anyone had stopped. Then her face softened into a gentle smile. "Young man, you are kind. My cart, it broke. I cannot remember where my ship is. Everything is so confusing here." Jiho helped her stand, supporting her weight with one arm while he examined the hover cart with his other hand. The anti-gravity generator had burned out completely. This cart wasn't going anywhere. He looked at the scattered items, mostly personal belongings, old photographs, some data tablets, and what looked like handmade crafts from various worlds. "My name is Jiho." "What's yours, grandmother?" "Nala," she said softly. "I am called Nala." "Okay, Grandmother Nala. Let me help you carry your things and find your ship. Do you remember what dock number you came in on?" She shook her head slowly. I wrote it down, but I lost the paper. I've been walking for hours, I think. Maybe days. Time is strange when you get old." Jiho checked his wrist device again. If he helped her, he would definitely miss his second job. That meant less money this month, which meant he might have to skip meals or delay paying his rent. He thought about his grandmother again, about how she had sacrificed so much for him. What would she say if he walked away from someone in need just to earn a few extra credits? "Don't worry, Grandmother Nala. We'll find it together." He gathered her belongings into his own work bag and offered her his arm. She took it gratefully, and they began the slow walk toward the main docking registry. She moved carefully, each step deliberate and shaky. What should have been a 10-minute walk took nearly 30. At the registry office, a bored human clerk barely looked up from his screen. "Yeah? We need to locate this lady's ship," Jiho said. "She's Valanian, came in sometime recently, but doesn't remember the dock number." The clerk sighed. "Do you know how many ships dock here daily?" "Thousands. I need a registration number, a ship name, something." Jiho looked at Nala, who seemed even more confused now. "Grandmother, do you remember your ship's name?" "It's old," she said quietly. "Very old." "It has been with my family for generations." The evening song? No. The twilight song. "Yes, that's it." The clerk typed for a moment, then frowned. "Nothing in the current logs." "When did you dock?" "I don't remember." "Recently?" The clerk rolled his eyes. "Look, I can't help without proper information. Next." Jiho felt anger rise in his throat, but he pushed it down. Getting angry wouldn't help Grandmother Nala. "Is there any way to search for Valanian ships that docked in the last week?" She might be confused about the name. That would take hours of manual searching. "I don't have time for that." "Please," Jiho said. "She's alone and lost." "Isn't helping residents part of station services?" The clerk's expression didn't change. "Station services are for registered residents. Transients need to use the automated systems. There's a terminal over there." Jiho guided Nala to the automated terminal, but she couldn't work the controls. Her hands shook too much and the interface kept timing out. After the 5th failed attempt, Jiho decided to try a different approach. For the next 2 hours, they walked through the docking sectors, checking each area for older Valanian ships. Station security stopped them twice, questioning why they were in restricted areas. Jiho explained each time. showing his worker identification and vouching for Nala. The security officer seemed suspicious of the old woman, as if she might be scamming him, but they let them continue. Nala talked as they walked. She asked Jiho about his life, about Earth, about why he worked so hard. He found himself telling her things he rarely spoke about, how he missed his grandmother, how he dreamed of someday saving enough money to visit Earth itself, how lonely it could be living on a station where everyone was just passing through. "You have a good heart," Nala said at one point. "That is rarer than you think, young Jiho. Why did you stop to help me?" Everyone else walked past. Jiho shrugged. "My grandmother raised me. She always said that how we treat the elderly and the weak shows who we really are. I couldn't just walk past you, even though it costs you time, money. Grandmother, some things are more important than money." Nala smiled at him, and for just a moment her cloudy eyes seemed to clear, becoming sharp and bright. But when Jiho blinked, they were cloudy again. He thought perhaps he had imagined it. Finally, in the old forgotten section of the docks where ships from the early days of the station still sat, they found it. The Twilight Song was indeed ancient, its hull scarred from centuries of travel, its design from an era before modern aesthetics. But it was clearly well maintained, humming with quiet power that seemed at odds with its appearance. "This is it." Nala's face brightened with recognition. "Oh, thank you, young man. Thank you so much. I'm glad we found it, grandmother." Jiho helped her to the boarding ramp, then set down her bag. Nala turned to face him. The confusion in her eyes had vanished completely now, replaced by something else, something ancient and knowing. She reached up with one gnarled finger and touched Jiho's forehead. Warmth spread through his body, starting from where she touched him and flowing outward like gentle waves. It felt like sunlight, like love, like something he couldn't quite name. The sensation lasted only a moment before fading. "For your kindness, child of Earth, I give you a gift," Nala said, her voice suddenly stronger, clearer. "May it serve you as your heart has served others. You helped me when no one else would. You sacrificed your time, your money, your comfort. You treated me with dignity when others saw only a burden. This is remembered." "This matters." Jiho felt embarrassed. "I just did what anyone should do, grandmother." "But they didn't," she said softly. "Only you did. Remember this, Jiho, kindness is never wasted. It echoes further than you can imagine." She smiled at him one last time, then turned and walked up the boarding ramp with steady steps, no longer shaking or uncertain. The ramp closed behind her, and within minutes, the Twilight Song lifted off, its engines barely making a sound as it rose and disappeared into the traffic lanes above the station. Jiho stood there for a while, watching the empty space where the ship had been. His forehead still felt warm where she had touched him. He assumed it was some kind of cultural blessing, a Valanian tradition perhaps. He didn't think much of it. He checked the time and groaned. He had missed his second job entirely. Tomorrow he would have to explain to his supervisor and hope they would give him another chance. His wallet would hurt this month. But as he rode the transport tube back to his tiny apartment, Jiho didn't regret his choice. His grandmother would have been proud. That was worth more than money. He had no idea that the old woman's touch had changed him forever. He had no idea that he would never be ordinary again. And he had no idea that his simple act of kindness would eventually echo across the entire galaxy. For now, he was just Jiho, a tired cargo handler who had helped a lost old woman find her way home. Nothing more, or so he thought.